Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Today's flight will be in the Thranda. Make sure all this looks good. It does. Okay. We're going to be in the Thranda F33A. Let's see if I can find the little thing in here. There it is. So, we'll first go to the weight and balance. And I always like the tip tanks. I think they look a lot sleeker. And you get extra fuel that you can do. Anywho, for today's flight, we need about 200 pounds of fuel total. So about 100 pounds in each tank. So we'll just put in about... We'll actually put in 111, because I believe that's going to be to the tabs. So that's fine there. Obviously, I don't weigh that. I weigh about 140... about 145. About that. We'll say that you weigh that much. We'll take out passengers over here. CRCG moves forward. Again, no passengers here. We're going to put a little bit of cargo back here, about maybe 85 pounds. Again, within limits, and this all looks good to me. Weight and balance is good. Aircraft options, we will remove covers, remove tie-downs. We will head inside the aircraft. Now, this is actually the first flight that I have auto exposure. First flight that I have that I will be streaming in the Bonanza. So that'll be fun. We have the 750 650 stack here. I mean, we can run through our checklists. Also have, you know, a pretty good established flow of the aircraft as well, but before start, checklist seats position and lock, seat backs up right, park brake. Set that. Here's my physical rudder pedals, and then I'm just going to set that park brake set. All avionics is off. Circuit breakers in. Landing gear is down. 3 greens on my hardware. Cowl flaps, we'll open that up. Cowl flaps is open. Light switches off, electric elevator trim off, fuel selector fullest tank. We just need it either in our left or right tank since they're both the same. We will do the right tank for now. Fuel selector fullest tank, battery switch on, and then check the fuel quantity and get the beacon light on. So fuel quantity, check that over here, about half tanks, and get the beacon on. All right, so starting engine checklist. Let's also get the alternator on. All right, so to do this, prop is fully forward, high RPM, mixture full rich, throttle full open. Look at that oil pressure. Oil pressure is cold. It's going to be a cold engine start. So aux pump on until fuel flow peaks, then off, and then open a 1/4 inch, and then we'll start it. So turn the aux pump on. And there's peak fuel flow. We'll get that off. And now I'm going to close my throttle and open it about a 1/4 inch. And we'll clear the area. And we'll start her up. Alright, so that's going to put it about 14. Oil pressure is good. So we'll I'll bring it back down to about 1,000. And alright, so oil pressure is good. Okay, alternator's on, all engine indicators good. Starter energy. Okay. Avionics on. And we'll plug in our headset, noise canceling headset. Flaps are up, brakes. Okay. So what we'll do now, I'm going to lean out the mixture. So take a look at this. You should be able to just kind of hear it. Right about here is where we're going to have it at. And I can bring the throttle setting back just a smidge. And that'll be good over there. So, this is all looking good. Get our nav light on now. And continue. Hit continue. Now you can actually see the instrument self-test. If I set it to GPS. And I hit continue, this is going to have it on here. So, instrument panel self-test. So, left CDI, half left. Flag out of view, vertical CDI, half up out of view. It is a 2 indication. And that's good over here. So I'll hit continue, and it'll kind of do it on both. So that's that. Okay, flight plan. Our flight plan today, we're going to go to Hilton Head. We're going to go via EAO Eon IRQ, and then Hilton Head. Cruise altitude, we're cruising at 9,000 feet. We'll set that. And that looks good. I actually do need to update the GTNXI. It's on an older version. Okay, you also have this little cubby thing that I don't really know what that's for, but it is something that exists. Okay, so on this little unit here, a couple things that we're going to do here real quick. We'll go to utilities, we'll go to rain prediction at Hilton Head. Today's the 15th, arrival time, local arrival time. You are looking at, if we have this to now, ETA local is 4:50 Eastern. So 4:50, that is 16:50 Eastern, and compute. RAM's available. We'll go into the system external LRUs, and we can scroll down here. And GTA X1 is good. GPS status got above 6. Make sure WAS is enabled. System status is going to be your database, basically. So that's this unit checked. We'll do the same on this unit. We already checked RAM. We'll just make sure WAS is enabled. So we'll go to system, good, SBAS, WAS, good. Okay. We're going to be taxiing here. We'll get this to altitude reporting since we're going to be on part of the airport environment, whatever you want to call it, surface, what have you. This actually has, FSB, all this and that. We'll keep this on default nav, which is fine. Peachtree, let's go to the weather data. Altimeter settings 3013, we'll put that in here. Borrow 3013. Winds variable at 4. I'll have this back onto the map page and just zoom that in. What's actually interesting, let's go to the plates here real quick. I have all my charts and everything from my iPad, which is connected to ForeFlight. So you can't see that, and I don't really know exactly how to overlay it properly. So we're gonna kind of deal with that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna check the NOTAMs real quick. So 3-4 vastly low intensity out of service. 3 right. I think 3 right and 2-1 left is closed. Yeah, so runway 3 right approach lighting. Yeah, runway 3 right, 2-1 left is closed. So we're going to take off of runway 3 left if the winds are coming from 060, I think is what it is. Procedure, let's see, what are the winds showing? Winds. Variable at 4. So we're going to take off of runway... we could do 3-4... We'll take off of runway 3 left. So, we're going to taxi to runway 3 left via Bravo Alpha. Boom. So I have that put in here. You actually have a, that's good. So, taxi checklist. I know there's a way you can get it on the yoke. I just don't remember how to do that. I don't remember what button it is to get it on the yoke. But nonetheless, aircraft documentation. I don't know why this doesn't work as intended. So we'll hide that for now. Avatab, toggle tablet, aircraft documentation. Okay. Taxi checklist. Taxi checklist. That's before takeoff. All right, taxi. Brakes. Release lights as required. We'll get our taxi light on. And release the parking brake. And we'll get it going. So, this taxi out. Basically, it's going to be very similar to the Aero, where I'm not really going to bring my... Because it's a constant speed prop, right? So, I don't really want to idle the power and then have the oil pressure just completely drop on me. So, I'm going to have it kind of like this here. I'll leave it at this setting, about 1,000. If we need to, you know, adjust our speed, we'll kind of just use our brakes as necessary. Do not operate engine above until oil temperature reaches 75 degrees. And it is, yeah, not even close to that. Here's your before takeoff checklist. So. Anywho, we're just kind of pummeling through. Is this rest? Leo, this is rest. I had a name change some time ago to Sawyer and had a little rebranding, but yes, this is him. I don't know why my... Hold on. I don't know why my textures went to absolute shit. Yeah, that's strange. It dynamically adjusts it, I guess, which is interesting, but yeah, it looked great at Ultra. I don't know what's going on. OBS is fine, but I guess it kind of does that when I'm streaming because it just uses more VRAM. It should fix itself once we're at the cruise phase of flight. But yeah, I actually got just submitted for my check ride for my commercial, so hopefully we can get that in soon. We're just kind of waiting around for that now. Yeah, the Bonanza, this is a really, really fun aircraft because you can get pretty fast, you can go decently high. There's no supplemental oxygen, at least in the Thranda. Okay, so here we go. We're going to slow down here, slow down. Kick it, holy frames. Kick it in. And, part of that has to do with us being in... where we're at, because now look at this. Now the textures are back where they used to be, so not sure why that was like that, but nonetheless, we're kicking, rolling right now. Okay, before takeoff checklist, seatbelts are secure, parking brake set, radios checked. So we're not on any, you know, network, so we're going to skip that. Engine instruments. So if you look down here, oil temperature is good, cylinder temps, pretty cool. Oil pressure is good. This oil temperature gauge, I mean, we have it just idling here. Honestly, what I could do is get the RPM to about 1400 RPM here, or about 1200, and we'll just kind of keep it at 1200 to warm up the oil temperature. I loved your streams during the pandemic. I don't know if you remember me, but I came to you to suggest me a PC build. That sounds about right. I remember I did that a lot. And yeah, that was kind of crazy time. I used to stream a lot during the pandemic era. And then obviously after going to school, that died down a little bit. But now that I have a little bit more available free time, I've kind of come back to the streaming scene. Mostly GA stuff. I love flying GA in person and in the sim, so yeah. Okay, let's take a look here. Oil temperature, we'll say it's just pretty much coming into the green. I'll bring that throttle setting back down a little bit. Alright, so engine instruments, flight instruments, flight controls, you know, it's all in the sim and that's all checked, but we'll bring the throttle up to 1700, so I'm going to enrich my mixture and bring this up to 1700. So that's about there. They're all set to 1700. Prop exercise to obtain at 300, 400 RPM. So we're going to do the prop check here, and then we'll do the mag check and all of that. So the prop check, basically what we're going to do here is we're going to cycle it once and observe a drop in RPM and increase in manifold pressure. We're going to drop and then cycle it again and verify that there's the oil pressure's within, you know, still green. And then we'll do it a third time and look outside and verify that there's no sputtering or smoke or anything like that. So first one we're going to do is we're going to look at that manifold pressure and look at that RPM. That's interesting. There it goes. It actually takes a second. I don't know if that's specific to the engine that's in the Bonanza, but that's actually very interesting. And then I'll do it again. Look at the lag that it takes for a second. There it goes. And I'll push it back in. Oil pressure was good. And then I'll look outside. So I don't know if that's just to do with this engine. But that is interesting. Okay, these are both good. All right, and then we'll test the mag drop. Good. Good. And then we will alternator, amps, boom, and then so we'll start charging again. And then I'll idle here. Do what we idle at. Engine still runs, and we're idling at about 600 RPM or so. Look at this back here. All right, so that's all good. We'll leave the mixture rich for takeoff. Aileron, elevator, 0, 3 degrees nose up, only if front seats are occupied, which they are. Oh, actually, no, they're not. So elevator is set to 0. That's actually very interesting. I didn't even know that. See, this is set to 3 because it has the front seats occupied, but we actually don't have the front seats occupied right now. So, yeah, we'll put in 0. We just have baggage in the back. Mixture's rich because our density altitude isn't that high for us to do that. And then takeoff, transponder, power, landing gear, attractive positive airspeed. And then here's your cruise climb. So we're gonna our cruise climb is gonna be 25 inches of manifold pressure at 2,500 RPM. Our takeoff RPM is gonna be about 2,700. We're basically redlining that, right? Indicated altitude, we'll say is 1,000. It's 980, but we're gonna start our turn on course once we are 400 AGL, so looking at 1,300 MSL. Cleared for takeoff, so, landing light, strobe light coming on. You can probably hear my ForeFlight going off. Okay. Alright. Again, I don't know why this just went to... This is, like, really low on the setting there, but... Okay, I'm going to have that there. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to close up this, close up this. Alright, and I'm going to set takeoff power. Alright, takeoff power set. Oil temp's green, oil pressure's green. Airspeed's alive. Alright, and we're going to rotate here. Nice smooth rotation. No runway distance available. Gears coming up. Gears in transition. Alright, I'm going to pitch over for a VY climb here, and then we'll transition into a cruise climb. So, build up a little bit of airspeed. And then I'm going to pitch back up to about 8 degrees of pitch up attitude. And then we're coming up at 1,200. Because of the runway setup, we're going to be doing a... we'll do a right turn out. The runway is closed, so we'll do a right turn out here. Something like this is good. Alright, and we're also going to transition to a cruise climb. So I'm going to nose over a little bit. I'm going to get about 25 inches of manifold pressure here. And I'm going to bring the prop setting back to 2,500 RPM. Oop. Oh my gosh, I think my actual control got broken a little bit. Like my physical one got a little bit weird. Anywho. Okay, sorry. I need to set it to my... There we go. Yeah, because my actual like vernier thing that I use got a little bit iffy. See what I mean? That's crazy. Okay, hold on. I need to adjust this because my actual one got like weird. That's crazy. My actual, you guys can't see it, but my actual like vernier control got like fucked up. So I'm gonna ease that back. Basically, I can't have it fine-tuned like how because I can't screw it in anymore. So we just kind of have it set to that. Okay, we're good now. That's kind of crazy though. All right, I'm gonna continue that turn and we'll proceed on course. S-Tech, nav, vertical speed about 1,000, and we'll arm that. All right, cruise, climb checklist. Let's run through the rest of that. Oh, the other thing too is we wanted the fuel pump to be on. Okay, climb checklist. Mixture set. So once we get about 5,000, 4,000 feet, we're gonna lean out our mixture to 15 gallons per hour. And that'll be our cruise checklist complete. Rest of this looks good. Passing through 3,000 feet here. That's all good to go. Good luck on your commercial check ride. I just started training in Farmingdale. Nice, nice, nice. And how's your flight training been treating you? Okay, we're about to intercept our course here. Looks pretty peachy. Alright, airspeed's looking pretty good. I'm going to nose over a little bit. We'll go to 800 feet per minute. And we are intercepting our course here, making a left turn. That's fine. I'm adding just a little bit of rudder input here. I wish this had a yaw dampener. I know it says that on the Benedict Kings or whatever the fuck it's called, the KFC, but we don't actually have a yaw dampener in this aircraft. Okay, so I'm going to lean out my mixture here. I'm going to lean the mixture out to basically 15 gallons per hour. Right about here, and I'm gonna push my throttle in more, 25 inches, and that's looking good. And we'll go back to about 1,000 feet per minute on the climb. Boom. Actually, airspeed's building up quite a bit. We can add another couple hundred feet per minute here. Pretty sweet, huh? Very sweet. Again, airspeed's pretty high. We can add another couple hundred feet here. We do have a high pressure system in this general vicinity, so because as I mean, look at that. Our altimeter setting is tree 01 tree. Have a high pressure system in here, so we're getting a little bit better performance. Coming up on 6,000 feet, or passing through 6,000 feet, and the airspeed is going to start dropping. We'll take this down to 1,200 feet per minute. Still adding in a little bit of that that rudder input. Airspeed is going to drop a little bit more. We'll go 1,000 feet per minute on the climb. Pretty nice, actually. My CFI told me I'm good at flying for a beginner. I was surprised how much the sim actually helps. Yeah, sim helps quite a lot. It helped me a lot in instrument. I don't know if you use ForeFlight or not, but if you actually set everything up correctly, you can have ForeFlight in your sim, which is what I have, and it works really great. yeah. Of course, don't practice like VFR maneuvers or anything like that. It's gonna screw you up a little bit. But anything other than that, and it's really great. You can even use it for like power off 180s. Not so much for the feeling, but to kind of see how you can how you can adjust the geometry of it, and just get a general idea for energy management. But VFR maneuvers I'd stay clear from. But yeah. All right, we got about what 2,500 to go. I'm gonna bring up my cruise performance chart. Temperature here is hot, but not so hot that we'll be using a like different cruise profile. Our cruise profile that we're going to be using is standard temperature. So we'll use cruise performance. I like to use a lower RPM setting, and because it's going to be quieter. Like this is how it's going to sound at 2,500 RPM. 75 max continuous power is full throttle, right? 85 max continuous power at 2,300 RPM. If you look at standard day and at 9,000, you're looking at true airspeed of what, 161 knots, right? That's at 85% at 2,300. If you go down a little bit in performance at 2,300 RPM, this is 21. Well, I guess this doesn't have that. This has, so yeah, we'll use 85 max continuous power at 2,300 RPM at 9,000 feet. We want to be at 20.9. There it is. We're nosing over. So manifold pressure, we want to be at 20.9 inches of manifold pressure. We're at 21 right now. So I'll decrease this back. And actually, you'll notice that if we set it to 20, just a hair over 20, and then I bring the prop back to 2,300 RPM, you're going to notice a slight tick up in manifold pressure. Here's 24. Here's 23. Notice now our manifold pressure is going to slightly tick up. So that's why I kind of purposefully set my manifold pressure a little bit lower than what we might actually need it to be, because now we're not technically full throttle. We're just a hair under it, right about there. Okay, and then if we look at gallons per hour, you're looking at about 12.7 gallons per hour. So we'll go to the fuel flow. This is at 13. So now I'm going to look at my EGT gauge, and I'm going to lean this based off of peak EGT. So if we open this up, notice that we have our temperature, EGT at 1408. If I continuously lean this out a little bit more, there's a slight drop. So right about here is where I want to be at. And that's going to yield about, I'd say about 12.5 gallons per hour. So that's spot on. The next thing I'm going to do here is close our cowl flap, switch our tank to the left tank, get our fuel pump off, taxi, landing lights off. And that's our cruise checklist complete. We're cruising out now. I actually have a little bit too much right rudder in. I'm going to slowly take that out. In the sim, it kind of throws it all for a little bit of a loop there. I'm flying my 172 G1000 increased knowledge with instruments. Yeah, hell yeah. Are you doing private training right now? Okay, and then I'm going to sync up my heading. Another thing too is with this, it says nav, but you want it on GPS steering mode, and that is set in the EFD 1000. But anywho, a little bit of knowledge there for you. So we said that our true airspeed was like 161 knots, I think. Look at that. We're within 1 knot of our true airspeed with our cruise performance profile of 20.9 inches of manifold pressure, or about, what was that, 85% power, at 2,300 RPM, cowl flaps closed. Pretty great. And so Lawrenceville, it's somewhere here. I used to my first part of my private training was at Lawrenceville. You know, not a whole lot of great memories there. The instructor I had there was not too fantastic. Then I changed over to a different school in Peachtree, DeKalb, and that was a lot better. But this takes me back for sure. I can't remember which. I think it was on the south ramp or something like that, so probably closer to us. But yeah, look at the clouds. The skyscapes look phenomenal in this version of X-Plane. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna load up the procedure real quick for Hilton Head, just so that we have an idea for what approach we want to do. Winds are calm right now. We're coming in from the northwest. We could obviously do a visual approach. We could do a VOR approach. We could do a RNAV approach is probably what I'm going to do, because we don't have an ILS approach into Hilton Head. We have a localizer approach, but I digress. Anywho, if winds are calm, we'll probably just do the RNAV runway 3. And we will go to Jorge as our initial. We'll do LPV minimums, category B, and we are coming in from the northwest. I'll add that to the route. I'm going to just look at the chart real quick. So let me just look over the chart before I brief it. Well, I mean, we have plenty of time before we even need to think about briefing it, but if we're coming in from the northwest to Jorge, we will be doing the procedure turn. So we are going to do 45 less than the outbound, so 033. It should sequence it for us, but coming in, that's what parallels is a teardrop almost for the procedure turn. Oh, it's not a procedure turn per se, it's more of a course reversal, but PPL, man, gotcha. Well, have fun with that. PPL was definitely a lot of fun. I think the most fun I've had was with instrument by far, but commercial, the main part that's kind of just a pain in the ass is it's just there's so much in commercial with all your precision landings, all of your VFR maneuvers. It's quite a lot. Okay, load procedure approach. We're doing the RNAV 3 LPV approach, and we're doing Jorge as our initial. And this should sequence the course reversal. If I hit load, there's the hold entry. So it does do the it does sequence that. If I preview this real quick, oops. Here you'll see Jorge, and it does do the course reversal. Now, the cool thing is you can actually remove this, and then you'll see that the GTN 750 will automatically sequence it so that once you get from the fix before your initial approach fix on your approach, it will automatically sequence the approach so that it goes from this line to the next line without you needing to activate or suspend or anything like that. Anywho, now if we, preview this, you're going to look at this. Here's your top of descent marker. Here's Jorge. We're going to come in, go outbound, go inbound, boom, shoot the RNAV. Very, very, very rudimentary stuff here. Okay, let's see where we're at. We're actually over Barrow County, Winder, right now. Barrow County Airport. I used to fly there a lot back in the day. And if you look at the distance we have to our top of descent, we can go to VNAV. Got about an hour till our top of descent. So we're looking at about 4 o'clock. Best of luck, man. I'm gonna head out. It was nice catching up with you. Take care. Thank you. Thanks for dropping in and swinging by. take it easy and best of luck with you on your private track ride. Oops. All right. I'm gonna set up some other views now that I have the time. We'll add
added camera 1 to category 2.
We'll add a look at the tech again. The texture work is just fantastic. We'll add some. We'll call this GoPro views. So I know one GoPro view that you could have is like back here. Have this down a little bit and like this, and then just kind of like that. Is a GoPro view that you could have. We will set this. Boom.
Cameras saved.
Add another.
Added camera 2 to category 2.
Another GoPro view that you could have is like this.
Cameras saved.
You could have one about in the cockpit, but anywho, another one that I can do.
Added camera 1 to category 3.
We will enable external camera.
category 3. Cameras saved. Added camera 3 to category 3. Cameras saved.
That's pretty sweet. That's actually really fucking sweet. Holy Lord. Hey man, X-Plane looks stunning. Do you use graphics mods? I do use a few. It should be linked, or it should be in the description below. Basically, the only graphics mod, actually, there's not a whole lot with 12.3. Pretty much, airport environment package is what I use for ground textures at certain airports. So you get better 3D objects with like hangars and everything. You'll see that when we land at Hilton Head. And then other than that, it's just going to be pretty much X-Plane map enhancement for the global ortho that is streamed. And then Sim Heaven, North America, for placement of all the objects, as well as that like global forest thing. Although I don't know if that global forest is necessary now with Sim Heaven being as up to date as it is. But it's pretty much just ground stuff that I have with map enhancement and Sim Heaven. And then for certain regions I use what's his name? SFD Global for certain autogen like buildings in like Oceania and Asia and shit like that. But other than that, not a whole lot of graphics mods. I mean, it looks just stunning. I mean, look at that. This just it is yeah, very, very stunning to say the least. It's why I just can't get enough of X-Plane, because with the right aircraft, the right use case, it is really stunning. Yeah. Alright, we're still about an hour from this. Actually, I'm going to change the vertical speed to 500 feet per minute. Just because you'll notice that with 500 feet per minute, the cowl flaps closed at this RPM setting. If we bring the manifold pressure back to just a little bit, to about 20 inches or so, we will come very close to VNO, but not actually hit VNO. And we can even cruise between VNO and VNE, so long as it's what it is right now. It's clear, not turbulent, things like that. So you really don't even have to touch the power setting or really reduce your airspeed with a 500 foot per minute descent. Of course, you can have a steeper descent, but you're going to have to adjust the power setting accordingly. And, I mean, if you want your, you're going to get better cooling with, well, I guess, I don't want to get ahead of myself. But, yeah. La, 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 la. So I actually have class right after this. But after class and after I go to the gym, I might be streaming again. So we might do another stream tonight. Look at that. That looks so crisp. Oh, we're getting a little bit of visible moisture. Water. Our outside air temperature here is like 10 degrees Celsius, so no need for us to throw on that prop or pitot heat or anything like that. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Because we're 10 degrees warmer than standard. Bon Kizzle, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. We're doing a little Bonanza flight. So, anywho, if we stream tonight, let me know what aircraft you guys want to see. Do you want to see more of the Bonanza? Do you want to see the PC-12? Do you want to see the Cirrus? We have quite a few options for y'all to choose from. So, I wonder if I can create a poll. I don't know if this will let me or if I have enough. I don't think I can because I don't have. I'm not famous enough for that. But drop in chat if you want to see the Cirrus, you want to see the Pilatus, or if you want more Bonanza action. Oh, yeah, because, I mean, the twin, not really feeling the twin action right now. I want to do the Lancer, but the problem with trying to do the Lancer, the evolution with the PT6 is I can't find a four-flight profile for that aircraft. Not to mention that aircraft is, like, ridiculously overpowered. It's actually kind of crazy with that aircraft. But this is, you know, your peak complex aircraft right here is where your throttle, prop, mixture settings are all like that. Now, notice, you know, you have prop on top, right? That's your typical acronym, but right now our prop is not on top, but that's okay because of the cruise profile that we've set. Anyway, let's get some air open. I don't know how this thing works, and I've tried to get this thing to work, but I don't know how. So we're just gonna kind of leave that there. So, yeah, we'll leave that alone. Cruising along. Clouds look fantastic in 12.3. Again, I got about 50 minutes here. What's the gym plan today? Well, it is going to be a deadlift secondary day, so pretty easy. All my gym stuff is actually pretty great right now. You know, bench is 225. Squat is, what's that? 375, 385. Let's see. Squat is 375. Bench is 225, and deadlift is just over 485. So let me see what total that is. 225, 375, 485. You're looking at about 1085 total. So not too terrible. Alright, we're coming in through the cloud. See how that looks in the sim? I'm gonna be right back, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a cup of water. Alright, I'm back. Okay, been running more than lifting. Some leg action. There you go. I mean, with me powerlifting, it's kind of like the opposite. I haven't done any sort of like cardio or endurance thing like that in years. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the nearest altimeter setting real quick. Because we're, you know, about halfway. At Augusta, altimeter setting here is 3006. So yeah, we're gonna definitely, it's gonna nose over a little bit, or nose up. Sorry. The initiates a climb to recapture 9,000. 3006. It's fine. Here's your GoPro views, which I think look pretty sweet. This is still my favorite view. Look at the reflections and the... Wow. It would be so cool to own one of these planes. At least I think so. X-Plane still running strong. Been doing more military ops like BMS and DCS. Yeah, it's actually funny because the more I fly in person, the more I use X-Plane. So, that's just kind of been my thing. But you know, I'm actually waiting to take my commercial check ride right now. I've been submitted, just waiting to get assigned an examiner and. You know, but yeah. All right. It is almost time for us to switch tanks. Notice this time to top of descent is actually increasing, which is interesting. My true airspeed still staying the same, and now it's decreasing. But yeah, once we make that, because look at our wind direction is coming from 044. That's like right about here. That's not gonna be fun when we're. It's still gonna be a bit of a crosswind here, but oh well. Oh well. Now look at that, time is like jumping down to 30-something minutes. So. All right, let's go ahead, transfer tanks here. Pumps coming on. Right tank. Pumps coming off. So basically, we're going to switch the tanks once we start the approach. It's basically what's going to happen here. With how far we are from our top of descent. La 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 la. Got a body of water over here. Pretty great. Here, oh, I'm so dumb. You can actually see the outside air temperature right here. So 3 degrees Celsius. So we're pretty much exactly at standard. Are we at standard? Because at 9, 9 times 2 is what? 18? So 18 minus 5 is what? Minus 3 degrees? Because we'll have, at 1000, we'll have 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, 3, 1, minus 1, minus... Yeah, so we are actually warmer than standard temperature. Just slightly. Cool. Alright, making that right turn. Pretty sweet, huh? Look at that. You have a... it's not an elevator, it's what do you call that? Is this an anti-servo tab? Or trim tab? Maybe that is a trim tab. I don't remember. Okay, what's our wind looking like now? A direct crosswind. Lovely. Ugh, that fucking sucks. That definitely does suck, but it is what it is. But look how economical that is. We're at 160 true airspeed. Indicated is about 140, and we're only burning about 12 gallons per hour, which is crazy. You get that type of fuel flow at a much lower power output in the 172. So these complex aircrafts are really, really fuel efficient, which is awesome. So that's the biggest benefit of flying an aircraft like that. Looks nice. It sure does. It sure does. Oh. And that crosswind is, I mean, it's kind of helping us in a little bit, but not really. So, anywho, we got time, 25 minutes, so got quite some time till we come up to our top of drop. Look at all this dense. I don't know where we're flying over, but pretty dense. Population-wise. fluctuating, huh? The new Metal Gear game. How about that? New Metal Gear. Metal Gear. How do you like barbell squats? Literally never done them before. Love barbell squats. I squat low bar. Mainly, I squat high bar when I'm doing my secondary days, but I love them. I don't squat for hypertrophy, obviously. I squat because that's part of my competition, but barbell squats are excellent. Just in general. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I like the movement. Obviously, deadlifts are my favorite. And the thing with the deadlift is you really do work that whole posterior chain. So there you go. So being a powerlifter, we're ever using 531. Yes, actually, that was the first ever program I ran was NSUN's 531, a linear progression program. And then obviously as you get, you know, more advanced, you can't really get away with linear progression anymore, so mine's a little bit of a different variation now. But let me show you some of my physique, because or maybe not. I'd have to pull it up in there. But yeah, NSUN's is that's what I ran as my first ever program. Alright, we're about 14 minutes out, so in just a couple minutes here I'm going to go ahead and change so I can get ready for class, and then we're going to land, hit the replay, and then I'm going to get the fuck out of here, pretty much. All I have time for. Alright, 13 minutes. Look at that cloud layer up there. Pretty impressive. Alright. Alright, I will be right back. I'm going to change real quick. Alright, and I am back. Oh, fuck me. Thank the Lord we were below the indicated airspeed for that. That was not supposed to happen. That was 100% not supposed to happen. Okay. Let us do this. Let me get this back out. And plug this back in. Alright. Let me take a look back here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I'm doing the RNAV runway 3 approach. You can see we have the course reversal in here. If I go to the plates and I brief this, so minimums here is going to be 320, so 330 in here. So we'll set this to 330. MSL. Cool. Minimum is set. Approach is set. What else is there to do in this approach? Oh, 30 nautical miles to Jorge. Our current heading is 150, so we're within the, was that the TAA? So we can actually descend down to 1900 once we're 30 nautical miles over that. We'll be on the established approach path. But anywho, this kind of automatically does that has it kind of sequenced in for us. So anywho, all of this looks good to me. We're about 7 minutes out. And then once we're closer, we'll start that descent down in and get down in. So our glide path intercept point is Hundo, our final approach fix at 1,800 feet. How about that? Four minutes to go. Getting close. Alright. About 3 minutes in. 1,900 feet. Boom. And this is an RNAV approach to the CDI. We can just leave it on GPS and then just arm the approach mode and it'll kind of do that. But this is going to be a pretty interesting approach procedure, I believe. Let's run through that descent checklist real quick. Alright. Descent. Altimeter. I guess we can set that in here now. 3006. Cool. Winds are calm. Cowl flaps closed. Power as required. Avoid prolonged idle settings and low cylinder head temperatures. Mixture enrich as required. So, before landing and all that's good. Now, if you want to look at what roughly your fuel flow will be, as you're coming through about 5,000 feet at, let's say, 2,300 RPM, this is at 85% power. But if you have it at a lower power setting, at 2,300 RPM, I think in here it has that. 2,300 RPM, 85% Cruise 75 at 25, 75 at 25, 75 at 25, 65 at 23. Right? So 65 at 23 is, that's what that says is full throttle, but anywho, we'll kind of just keep it in between 13 and 15, kind of where we're at right now. About 13 gallons per hour should be good to go, I'd say. All right, and then our landing checklist before landing is just pretty much gumps and ups. So, anywho, about a minute to go.
Vertical track.
All right, once we hear vertical track, we are going to descent minus 500 and arm. Reason being is it's going to lag a little bit for it to hit that. We're going to keep the manifold pressure in the power setting, power setting, prop setting in, mixture, all of that exactly as it is, because the airspeed is going to increase, but not really as much as it would need to in order for it to exceed VNO. We'll get our landing line on though, and get this back to the map page. Now you can say you're, cleared for the approach. I have this automatically set to sequence correctly. You can actually come in here. Let's say you hit activate approach. Now you can see it'll have that little arrow there. So that's another thing you can do. But even if you omit that, it'll still sequence correctly. See, the airspeed's coming up just a little bit. I'm just going to bring the manifold pressure down about 20 inches, and we'll be pretty much good over there. And that'll get us at the speed that we want to be at. Alright. Oh, and if we look at the airport, if we land on runway 3, we're going to vacate off of hopefully Alpha 3. Hopefully Alpha 3. Alright, so let's come down here, get this on, and switch over to the left tank and get this off. Again, I'm keeping the mixture setting in kind of where it's at. I think this is pretty good here as far as cylinder temp, EGT, old temp, airspeed. It's all looking good. I'm just gonna, again, keep easing that power out just a little bit so that we can still maintain about 20 inches manifold pressure. At 20 and 23 is like perfect for our descent here at 500 feet per minute. So we're not even in VNO. So we still have plenty of wiggle room. I just don't want it like pushing past, accelerating quicker than what it's kind of already at. I'll enrich the mixture just a little bit here. We're about 30 miles out. If you look at where that bottom of descent is going to be, this has the bottom of descent exactly at gorge. And since we are doing the course reversal, this is totally fine for a descent, right? Alright, about to head to the gym, but probably will be on if you stream again. Sounds good. I may or may not, I'm not too sure at the moment, but we might stream later tonight. Alright, coming through 6,000 feet here. Still pretty far away. There you can see bottom descent's pretty much exactly where it needs to be. Airspeed's still looking pretty good. Good. Okay, so once we hit our initial approach fix, we actually, how time-wise, how far are we out? We are about 6 minutes out. So once we get, I want to be at 100 knots. Once we hit our initial approach fix, we'll slow down to 100, and then do the little course reversal. And I mean, we'll stay at 1900, and then once we are gorge inbound, we'll descend down to 1800, and we have about what is that? Is that about 4 miles? Yeah, about 4 miles, give or take, to do that. So, yeah, but we're definitely cooking it to our initial, which is exactly what I want us to do. Hey, dude. Bliss, welcome aboard. How's it going? We are currently descending down into Hilton Head and about to land, so you came in at the perfect time. All right. We're about 4 minutes out, 150. Now, our landing gear extension speed, I believe, is 153. Pretty quick, so we're probably not going to actually, like, drop the gear out when we're at our initial. We'll do that once we come up to our final approach fix, but coming up into our initial approach fix, once we're inbound on Gorge, I want to be at 100 knots. So we have a decent amount of time to kind of just slow ourselves down, do that course reversal, and get configured for the final approach course. So got plenty of time. Bonanza's looking great. You're rocking the good old reality. No, I'm using the TDS GTN 750 or GTN XI, whatever the hell, 750 650 stack. Beautiful, works absolutely fantastic. Earlier in the stream, if you want to check the VOD, you can actually see us fully utilizing this by checking rain prediction, WAS, all of this. You can use sensor data. You get pressure, altitude here, ground speed, true air temperature, calibrated airspeed. I mean, it really is phenomenal. And you have up-to-date air racks. That's what's super nice about the TDS. Airspeed's actually coming a little bit quick. I'm gaining just a little bit of airspeed here. I'm gonna enrich the mixture just a little bit as well. Alright, so we're about 2 minutes out from our initial here. Got about 50 knots to kind of get rid of, so I'm going to start bringing that power setting back. We'll go about 15 inches of manifold pressure here. And that's just going to keep bleeding off that airspeed. Got about 2 minutes to go. And again, that's 2 minutes to go outbound. So we have plenty of time to slow down when we are inbound on the final approach course. Sweet, I still have the old Reality XP ones, and I keep them up to date with my Garmin subscriptions. I haven't yet pulled the trigger on the TDS ones. I like them. Yet I also keep in mind that the TDS ones are, well, I don't own an aircraft to do the Garmin updates on, nor do I really feel like paying for the actual Garmin subscription. Second, the TDS is off of the 750, 650 XI, so it's a slightly newer version of the GTN modules. So you have features that, like this here is, I think, like your endurance profile or some shit like that. It has a little bit more features than your standard GTN 750, 650. And this is it's integrated way better. Like weather data, it'll pull it from Sirius XM, which I don't think the Reality XP can do. I haven't updated it, but when you update it, you can actually have radar in 12.3, FISB. So, I mean, it is a lot more advanced and similar to the actual one. So, super happy with it. Garmin subscription is expensive, and it is worth it. Just reflect some. Only thing is, RLSP doesn't have the weather data, so yeah, it doesn't have the weather info, which is super cool. And there's just tons of other features in here that the Reality XP doesn't have. This has rain prediction. It has, just off the top of my head, GPS status that you can check, and you can actually check, your accuracy, and it for the most part looks pretty spot on. And there's obviously tons of more stuff that you can really go in. here you go, teardrop entry. I have the chart pulled up on ForeFlight on my iPad below me. I am going to enrich the mixture setting just a little bit here. I'm going to reduce my manifold pressure just a little bit more. Really start to slow us down here. Here we go. All right. And this is going to capture 1,900 feet. So with this, we are definitely going to be able to quickly drop that power down to, or that airspeed down to 100 knots without a problem. We'll shoot the approach at 100 knots, and then we'll do the final approach speed at 70 knots. So, runner gumps check once we are at Hundo, which is about 4 miles out from the runway, about 5 miles out. And coming up on 100 knots here. There we go. I'm going to start adding a little bit of power so we can maintain 100 knots. We'll do about 15 inches of manifold pressure at about 2,300. We'll yield 100 knots, just about. So that looks good. Fullest fuel tank is, I mean, it's like the left tank, but barely. I missed the Falcon 50 P3D. I remember that too. I remember the Falcon 50 looked like shit from like a texture perspective, but it was definitely a whole lot of fun to fly, and I do remember that. Okay, so we're going to see how this it'll sequence it automatically. We'll arm approach once vertical guidance starts to kick in. I don't want to arm it super early. Actually, we'll arm the approach once we are at our altitude for our glide path intercept point. Because if we do it earlier with the S-Tech, you can still have your glide slope, right? But if you're doing a foot per minute descent, and then you arm the approach mode, it is going to follow your glide path even before your glide path intercept point is reached, which is not what I want to do. I want to descend at a foot per minute descent until I am prior to the glide path intercept point, at which point I'll arm the approach mode to follow the glide path down in. So that's how you do this correctly. Look at this. I'm going to add in just a scotch of rudder here. All right. That looks good to me. Yeah, that and the Learjet, ton of fun to fly and shoot approaches in. Yeah, 100%. I can't remember. Are you doing flight training IRL? Are you licensed? I can't remember. I know our channel actually has quite a lot of people, quite a lot of viewers that do train in person. So, all right. So once we hit Gorge, we're gonna do a little descent down to 1,800 feet, and we're gonna still keep the airspeed at 100. I really don't want to slow down my airspeed until I'm about what on my ups check a little bit before that. Let's say 300 AGL, 300 above minimums of 330. So we're looking at about what, like 530 AGL. Sorry, 530 MSL. Is when I'll do slow down to my final approach speed. Now you could also do with, be established quote unquote 1,000 AGL. That is what, 1019 is when we could slow down. So quite a couple options there, but we'll keep this cooking. Yes, I fly IRL. I fly a lot of things. Oh, good deal. What do you fly IRL? Okay. What are we? We're about a minute from Gorge, about 2 miles out. 100 knots over the ground. How about that? How about that? I think the flaps, I mean, I don't have an access to the POH, but I'm pretty sure the flaps in the Bonanza are electrically actuated, and I don't think they're what, electrically driven? Because I have to, what's interesting is I have to press and hold the flap switch for the flaps to continuously decrease or increase. Like, it's not like a lever where I push it down and it'll drop to a certain degree. I have to continuously press it for the flap to decrease. So. Alright, passing through Gorge inbound. Again, keeping the power setting in here. We're going to arm 1800. And we'll go ahead and do a simple vertical speed descent. Look at this, to Hundo, about 8 miles out. We're 8 from Hundo, and we have 100 feet to drop. So I am going to keep my altitude at it. Oh, I'm going to keep my altitude at 1900 until I get to, I don't know, 5 out from the final approach fix. 4 out, something like that. I have access to a Debonair with an IO 550 in my neighborhood. Other than that, without ownership, I fly a crap twin Traveler and a Mooney. Those are some awesome, holy shit. Those are some really awesome planes. Those are actually aircrafts that I would want to, maybe not own, but I'd definitely want to putz around in later on, is a high-performance aircraft, something like a Mooney, or something like a Debonair. That would be really cool. This Bonanza is actually pretty close to your Debonair, is it not, if I remember correctly? So I guess my question then would be, so it's also been a very long time since, it's actually been a minute since I've flown Instrument, and it's also been a minute since I've flown Complex. So, airspeed-wise, what do you normally do in your Debonair? Because these are with the IO 550, they're very capable aircraft, and you can cook it. You can cook these things. I know, like, most of our approaches during Instrument, we kind of always shoot them at 100 knots, and then once we're established, we're... Obviously, it's different if you are in VMC and you go visual, but, we slow down from 100 to our approach speed. In the Cessnas, you're looking at 65. I think it's like 70 in the Arrows, but... Well, if you're up in New England sometime, you know who to reach out to. Hell yeah. Sounds good, dude. That's pretty freaking sweet. I mostly fly in the Midwest right now. And then once I start CFI, or once I start flight instructing next year, I definitely will be a lot more, free as far as being able to take time off and stuff like that. So that'll definitely be really cool to kind of just putz around in high-performance aircraft. Fly with friends, things like that. I'm actually flying with one of my friends real soon here. On Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, we're just gonna, I'm renting it out for, it's a 172, but I'm renting it out for just a couple hours, and we're just gonna kind of putz around, tour the river, and then we'll shoot it back in. Due to insurance and me not having my CFII, there's a lot of restrictions. Basically, even though I am instrument rated, I cannot fly that aircraft into IMC whatsoever. There's other restrictions on it from the place that I'm renting it out. So, I don't really feel too great about renting out an aircraft for a long period of time. I'm also going to arm the approach mode. Knowing that I can't really, because you could file an IFR flight plan and put in the remarks that you can only do VMC, but that doesn't really do you any good if you have to do things like holds or vector. You know, if you get vectored into a cloud and you can't say, oh, I can't do that because there's a cloud there, you know. So that's kind of why, at least for the time being, when I'm renting that aircraft out, it's just going to be for fun to putz around and then land at the same place I'm taking off in. But once they let me rent it out for the sake of renting it out in IMC, then, dude, I'd rent that out for like a day, do some day trips. It'll be fucking sweet as hell. Debonair going a ton faster, usually around 130 to 140 on approach. The main reason being because of the gear. They are known as speed brakes, no matter what Bonanza has have flown on them. So that's good to know. So, what approach category is that? Is that still approach category B? 100 knots usually coming in on final or established on the approach, because as soon as you drop the gear, you're at 100 knots in seconds. Interesting. So I could have my gear down right now, pretty much. That's kind of what I was doing. We're actually coming up on our final approach fix here. So let me run through my GUMPS check real quick. Gas, I want it to be on my left tank, which it is. Undercarriage gear, I'm going to drop that down. We'll get gears in transition, prop cruise, mixture rich, switches. I have my aux pump on. Yep. Good. I gotta kick the airspeed up a little bit. So the way I flew this approach, right, I was coming in at like, what, 140 indicated, 135 indicated, and then I got to my initial approach fix to do the course reversal, and then like 2 miles into that, I slowed down to 100 with the gear up. And then I was just continuing at 100, because that's still on an established portion of the approach. And then I, you know, shot it inbound, and then I dropped the gear here at my final approach fix. Ah, gotcha. Usually in a complex, you would have gear out either on downwind or an extended final approach. Yeah, that's what I remember. Gear down usually on, you know, on your downwind if you're VFR or VMC or whatever. Running through the gumps, and you know, the way I was trained is, you know, gumps right around your final approach fix or on your downwind, about a beam your touchdown point, or midfield downwind. Run through that gumps check or on your final, and then ups check about 300 above your minimums. So that's in our case 500 MSL. But that was also with the Arrow. And the Arrow is not nearly as powerful as the Bonanza, right? Your Arrow is an IO 360, basically. I think it was, what, 200 horsepower? Alright, so we're at 900 MSL. Gear is down. Oh, and cowl flaps, usually keep them closed until after landing. You open them up on land. I know you open it up on takeoff and then close it during cruise and descent, but yeah, that is about right. But I would keep the speed up till established on final until the gear is down. Ah, gotcha. Okay, let's run through our ups check. Alright, undercarriage, gear down, 3 green. I'm looking at my hardware for that. Prop coming full forward. Maybe I shouldn't have just jammed it in there. Okay. Prop coming full forward. Switches, seatbelts, good. Alright, I'm also gonna slow down. 270 knots here. Flaps, we'll start pumping that shit in here. 2 mile final. Looking good. Start slowing us down. Boom. Alright, and I'm gonna disconnect autopilot. Boom. Alright. Runway's in sight. Adding a little bit of power here. Man, it's always trippy to land in the sim after flying in person for a long time, because your depth perception goes to shit in the sim. Alright. Aiming point is pretty much right on number 3 here. Alright, and I'm going to slowly ease out that power. Letting the nose drop. Alright. Alright, I'll take that for a simulator landing. Letting the nose drop, looking good. And then... we could have probably made Alpha 3, but I'm going to cook it just a little bit past. Shit, we're gonna have to take it all the way down to Alpha 5. Damn, okay. Alright, make a right turn here on Alpha 5. Hangar, I close them. Cowl flaps open on departure and climb out. Closed. Oh, maybe I shouldn't taxi and text. That's probably not a good idea. Usually when I'm shutting down and putting it in the hangar. Ah, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of... I mean, I got class in just about 40 minutes here, so... As soon as I park this thing and put it on the replay after that, I'm going to have to pretty much go. I just got submitted for my commercial check ride, so hopefully that'll come about soon. Alright. Get this back up. Fuel truck, that's erroneous. Cool. Lean out my mixture. That there. Cool. Alright, and strobe, landing, and fuel pump off, and flaps coming in. Cool, flaps are in. Whatever. For some reason I can't open up the window. It does this thing where it automatically opens and closes up the window. Alright, so here's FBO. We will swing it into the non-movement area here. Alright, coming on the brakes. Alright, here's some fuel trucks. I have never flown here before, so I have no damn clue where we're gonna park. I see a building. I'm assuming that's the FBO. We'll do a little princess parking here. We'll just... I think that... Yeah, we'll just taxi it up over here. Alright, and let's come up on the brakes. Alright, cool. Park brake. Radios coming off. Get our taxi nav. Mixture idle cutoff. Good. Look outside. Prop is stopped spinning. Mags off. And alternator off. Battery off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome down to Hilton Head. That was a pretty fun little flight there. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Cowl flaps open on departure, climb out, close during cruise as long as temps are fine, and for speed, then it's same all the way to landing, and usually when I'm shutting down and putting them in the hangar to close. That's good. I'm going to start heading out. Good flight. See ya. Alright, see ya. Thanks for swinging in and saying hi. We're just going to run the replay real quick, and that'll be it for me as well. So toggle replay. Let's back it up a little bit more. Here we go. First one that I want to see is this view coming in, a little flyby kind of view. Little bit of a balloon there. Otherwise, fine. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that landing is not too terrible. Let's run it from here. All right. Let's look at it from here, maybe.